Ya Ali Madad, my dear friends, welcome once again to the Esoteric Study Circle. Today we gather in the radiance of a moment unlike any other, the Takht Nashini Farman of Mawlana Shah Rahim, al-Hussaini, Hazar Imam. This is not just a historical milestone, but a spiritual unveiling, a Farman that offers both outer guidance, zahir, and inner wisdom for the journey of the soul. In these luminous words, the Imam gives us a vision for our identity, reminding us that true success lies in uniting faith and intellect, embracing knowledge as light, living with pluralism and compassion, and anchoring our hearts in the Nur of Imamat. In this deep dive, we will reflect deeply on the esoteric insights of this blessed Farman, seeking to understand not just with the mind, but to let its light resonate in the soul. So we're diving into, a truly remarkable document today. The Farman opens with Mawlana Shah Rahim's really loving blessings for the Jamaat, for our community, wishing us unity, spiritual enlightenment, good health, safety, and mushkil asan, the easing of difficulties. And crucially, he explicitly accepts the covenant, the bayah, as the 50th Imam, reaffirming that unbroken continuity of Imat, spiritual leadership, all the way back to Hazrat Ali. Now, this isn't just a formality, is it? What's the sort of deeper significance here for us?
That's a great starting point. Because, from an esoteric angle, the bayah is so much more than just accepting leadership. It's a really profound renewal of something ancient, the primordial covenant. That moment, ages ago, when souls first pledged their loyalty to the divine. And in this context, the Imam becomes the Hablillah.
The living rope.
Exactly, the living rope from the Quran, the one who literally connects us to haq, to truth, through his nur, his light. So it's this foundational reaffirmation, really, of that eternal spiritual bond. It's our anchor.
A living rope connecting us to ultimate truth. That's a really powerful image. And the Farman also clearly lays out the very foundation of the Shia Imami Ismaili tariqah, our path. Mawlana Shah Rahim states it's rooted in, the oneness of Allah, Tawheed, prophethood, Risala, and then Imamat as that continuing guidance. And he promises care for both our spiritual and material well-being. What does this triad really represent for us, for our existence?
Well, this triad, Tawheed, the Risala, you could almost call it the axis of existence for a believer. Tawheed is our origin, right? The absolute oneness of God. Risala is the revelation, the message the prophets brought. And Imamat is the realization. It's the ongoing guidance, the way that divine light actually enters each age. The Imam, as the Mazar, the manifestation of divine intellect, makes this light constantly accessible. He helps us, understand and actually live these deep truths day to day.
So it's not just a set of abstract beliefs, but a living, unfolding reality that's actively guiding us. Okay, moving on slightly, Mawlana Shah Rahim also gives this beautiful tribute to his father, the 49th Imam, Mawlana Shah Rahim al-Hussaini, describing him as a visionary, a bridge builder, someone who really loved the Jamaat, establishing these enduring institutions, reconnecting forgotten communities.
Oh, absolutely. And the esoteric take on that legacy, it's huge. It wasn't just historical work, you see. It had this kind of cosmic dimension. His works, you can almost think of them as architectures of light. And reconnecting those Jamaats, those communities, that symbolizes awakening dormant souls, drawing them back into the orbit of Marifat, spiritual recognition. It's about remembering our true spiritual home, essentially.
Awakening dormant souls.
Yeah.
Wow, that puts a whole different perspective on it. The Farman also designates Lisbon as the permanent seat of the Imamat, and Aswan, which has those historical links to the Fatimids, as the resting place for the 49th Imam. A mausoleum will be built there. These aren't just points on a map, are they? There's more going on here.
Not at all. Not just geography. Lisbon as the seat. That represents the Zahiri aspect.
Oh, sure.
The outer throne, governance, the visible administration. Aswan, though, that embodies the batini, the inner throne. The esoteric continuity. Think of it like the sun. We see its physical body, the zahir, right? But it's the radiating light and sustains life. So this really shows the Imam's authority spanning both realms, the seen and the unseen. It's pervasive.
That dual presence, seen and unseen. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. The Farman also included some really heartfelt thanks to Prince Emin, Princess Zara, his brothers, and especially his two sons, highlighting love, unity, nurturing the next generation. It felt quite personal within such a sacred text.
It did, and that's significant too. The Imam's family, in this kind of spiritual context, they're often seen as like a constellation around the sun of Imat. And his paternal care, it reflects more than just, human affection. It mirrors the divine mercy of the Imam as the spiritual father of all souls, nurturing us towards our spiritual potential.
A familial love mirroring that larger spiritual care.
Okay, I see. Now, the Imam also directly addresses the turbulence of the age. He acknowledges the global challenges and really urges the Jamaat towards education, technology, languages, and importantly, helping one another. This really grounds the spiritual guidance in our modern reality, doesn't it?
Absolutely. And that global turbulence, esoterically speaking, it represents the storm of the ego, the kind of inner and outer chaos that individuals and societies face. So in this light, the Imam is like the Noah of our time, and the Imamat is the ark of salvation, protecting believers from, the flood of materialism and just heedlessness. His guidance is a lifeline, really, in these times.
The ark of salvation. That's a powerful metaphor for today. He also made a very firm declaration, no compromise on the principles of the tariqah,
right,
emphasizing balancing deen, our faith, and dunya, our worldly life, and constant remembrance, zikr of Allah, the Prophet Hazrat Ali, and the Imams. How does this shape our lives, inwardly and outwardly? Well, the straight path, the Sirat al-Mustaqim, it isn't just a path you follow passively. It's more like the living current of the Imam's presence in the believer. It's active. And zikr, remembrance, it's not just reciting words. It actively activates the inner archetypes of divine light within the soul. It deepens that connection to the Imam, to the divine. It's how you keep that current flowing, protecting you from that storm of the ego we just mentioned.
So it's about making that presence a living reality within us every day. And speaking of living realities, his directive for Jamaat Khanas, our places of worship, is also so important. They must be centers of worship, yes, but also education, social connection, and intergenerational unity.
Right. The Jamaat Khana, symbolically, it represents the heart of the believer. So when we gather there for congregational prayer, it's like an echo of the primordial assembly. That moment when souls first witness divine oneness. It's a sacred space designed to help us reconnect with that original unity, both inside ourselves and with our community.
Okay, now for a section I find particularly resonant, especially for what we try to do here, Mawlana Shah Rahim affirms that our tariqah isn't just based on worship and devotion, it's also grounded in a rich intellectual tradition. And he commits to providing high-quality educational programs, materials, opportunities for the Jamaat. He outlines three main reasons for this focus on knowledge. First, so we can understand our history, our faith, our community. Second, to strengthen our identity, especially with all the pluralism around us today. And third, really to pursue a personal journey of enlightenment with knowledge as our companion. This is a huge call to action, isn't it?
It absolutely is. The Farman makes it incredibly clear that knowledge, ilm, in our tradition, isn't just academic stuff. It is sacred light. This vision is really about the journey of our collective soul. It reminds us that real success, true success, comes from discovering our soul's actual identity, and that journey is made possible through education, yes, but also intellectual searching, spiritual reflection, all guided by the Imam's ilm, his knowledge, and his blessings. It's about refining both the mind and the soul to perceive this light.
A deeply spiritual task then, not just hitting the books. The Farman stresses continuous learning, inquiry, reflection, faith and intellect working together hand in hand. And he uses that really powerful analogy. Prayer anchors the heart, but knowledge anchors the intellect. Both, he says, are the wings needed for the believer's flight toward Allah.
And that just highlights how essential both are. You can't really fly with one wing, can you? Prayer without knowledge might be heartfelt, but it might lack, deep understanding. And knowledge without prayer could just be intellectual exercise, lacking that spiritual grounding, that connection. The Farman is really blunt about the consequences if you neglect either one, and says, without history, faith is rootless.
Wow.
Without identity, the self is fragile. Without knowledge, the soul's light remains veiled. This truly renews that core Ismaili ethos. To be a believer is to be a seeker. Embracing faith and intellect as like inseparable twins on the straight path, the Sirat al-Mustaqim. It's a whole approach to spiritual growth.
Rootless faith, fragile self, veiled light. Those consequences really land hard. It shows you need that whole picture. Okay, the Farman also engages deeply with manifesting divine compassion out in the world. The Imam committed to tackling poverty, improving housing, nutrition, healthcare, education, supporting the elderly, the disabled. This is practical, real-world care.
It is. And from that esoteric viewpoint, serving the poor, It's like serving God in veiled form. The vulnerable people among us, they're seen as mirrors of our own inner poverty. They remind us of how much we depend on divine mercy. So these acts of service, khidmat, they aren't just charity work. They're a really profound form of worship, ibadat, a way to actually embody our faith.
That's a beautiful way to frame it, connecting the outer action with that inner reflection. The Imam also emphasizes diversity as a strength, the inclusion of multi-faith families, open-mindedness towards everyone. This is so relevant for the world we live in now, isn't it?
Incredibly relevant. And in this view, diversity is seen as the prism of the oneness of all. Multiplicity doesn't cancel out unity. It actually reveals it. It shows the one light refracted into countless beautiful forms. So welcoming others, it means welcoming the divine in unfamiliar veils. Recognizing that universal spirit in every single person, no matter their background, it's a truly expansive vision.
That's genuinely inspiring. He also identified climate change as a moral imperative and encouraged technological literacy, but combined with critical, independent thinking. These are huge challenges for our time.
Huge. And again, there's an inner dimension. Nature itself is seen as a kind of living scripture inscribed by Allah. So taking care of the climate, stewardship, it becomes an act of worship. Ibadat. And technology, well, that's presented as a spiritual trial. It can be a tool for illumination if we use it with wisdom, with critical thought, but it can just as easily become a veil, an illusion, if it's just driven by ego or mindlessness.
Yeah.
We have to navigate it consciously.
A spiritual trial.
Yeah.
That's a challenging way to think about our phones and computers. Lastly, on this theme, the Imam acknowledged demographic shifts, migration, the need to welcome and integrate newcomers. Again, very practical, very compassionate.
Yes, and esoterically, migration itself can be seen as mirroring the inner journey of the soul from the ego towards truth. So welcoming migrants, in the symbolic sense, becomes like integrating forgotten or marginalized parts of our own inner being. It helps expand our spiritual landscape. It's an act of deep self-recognition and universal compassion, all at once.
So every outward action really does have that inward parallel. Fascinating. The Farman also ordained the updated constitution of the Ismaili Muslims back on February 11, 2025, affirming Lisbon as the seat, adopting gender-neutral language, ensuring it can adapt. This sounds like institutional strength, modernity, but is there an esoteric side?
There is. The constitution, you could say, is the zahiri garment, the outer structure of divine will. But its ultimate authority, its lifeblood, flows from the inner light of the Imam. It's the visible framework, yes, but it's animated by that invisible eternal source. Designed to adapt, sure, but always preserving the core principles.
Ah, okay, that's a key distinction. The visible structure animated by the inner light. He also praised the Jamaat's voluntary service, our generosity, dedication, sending special blessings, recognizing that collective spirit.
Absolutely. And service, khidmat, it truly is worship, ibadat. It's not just about doing good deeds for others. It actively polishes the mirror of the heart. It helps erase the ego and allows us to reflect divine compassion more clearly. It's a transformative spiritual practice. It benefits the giver as much as, maybe even more than, the receiver.
Service as a path to inner purification. I like that. And finally, the Imam reassures all believers that even when he's physically absent, we are always in his heart, his thoughts, his prayers. That offers such profound comfort.
It really does. And it speaks to those two dimensions of presence we touched on earlier. There's the outward physical form, the Imam we see and hear, guiding, building institutions. But then there's the inner reality, an eternal light that never departs. It's present closer than the jugular vein, right there in the eye of the heart. It's this continuous, intimate spiritual connection that goes way beyond physical closeness, always guiding us.
That's incredibly reassuring, isn't it, knowing that eternal presence is always there? And he concluded by thanking the Jamaat for the Mamani gift, cherishing it as a reminder of love and unity. What's the deeper meaning of that offering?
Well, the Mamani gift, it isn't just about the material item itself. It's really a symbolic seal of the believer's covenant with the Imam. Its true value isn't in what it is, but in the sincerity of devotion it represents. It's an offering the Imam accepts and, in a way, preserves forever within the light of his iman. It solidifies that eternal bond.
That brings us to a really beautiful close on this deep dive. The Farman invites us, really invites you, to see knowledge not merely as a tool for worldly success, but as light, Nur, the very substance of guidance flowing from the Imam. Consider how every act of learning, every reflection, every inquiry we undertake is, in reality, a deliberate step closer to Haq, truth, illuminating our soul's ancient bond and guiding us toward true recognition and enlightenment. As we close today's reflection on the Takht Nashini Farman, let us remember, this is more than a Farman. It is the renewal of the eternal covenant, the arc of guidance in an age of turbulence, and the path of light leading us toward recognition, enlightenment, and nearness to Haq. The Imam calls us to be seekers of knowledge, to live with service and compassion, and to recognize the true identity of our soul under his eternal guidance and blessings. If this message touched your heart, please don't forget to subscribe to the Esoteric Study Circle channel, like and share this with your family and friends. Sometimes one awakened soul can ignite the light of an entire generation. Until we meet again, may the Nur of Imamat guide your intellect, illuminate your heart, and bless your every step. Ya Ali Madad.